Hi, I am Nicky Clements, and you may remember this spatula turned kitchen fork. Still have it, still use it, still works pretty well, although it is pretty springy, so my intended use for using it for mashing ground beef really doesn't work as well as the original one did. It was a lot stiffer, but since then, I've been using this thing, which is actually called a meat masher. It's got this kind of pinwheel blade on it, and it works really well. I find myself twisting as I use it. Each time I do, my wrist starts kind of getting sore, so I thought it'd be really nice if I could just kind of push down and it would automatically spin. A quick search, I really didn't find anything like that, but how many of your dads had one of these when you were a kid? It's basically like a self-ratcheting screwdriver. When you push down, the bit will automatically turn, so you don't even have to twist with your arm. All you have to do is just push up and down, and the mechanism does all the work. So how perfect would it be to take the top of this and put it on here? That's exactly what I wanted. This should be really straightforward. All we gotta do is chop the top off of this, put it on this, and this has removable bits. So you can change it out for a regular screwdriver or a Phillips screwdriver. So I can just put this on one of the bits, and then I can actually take it off and still use this as a screwdriver or for something else. You can actually get drill bits for this too, and all kinds of things. So that's really cool that I'll be able to hopefully keep it multifunctional. And I bought a second meat masher, so in case something does go horribly wrong, I'm not out. My new favorite tool. This one's a Pampered Chef one that my wife found. That's where I found it in the first place. It was just sitting in the kitchen one day. This one was just on Amazon Faberware. I think I like the Pampered Chef one more, so I'll save that one, keep that one original. It has a nice rubber grip on it. So I think I'll keep this one untouched and use the new one that I ordered and modify that. So the first thing to do is just to remove the meat masher part from the handle. Easy enough. Now I want to drill a hole through it, so I'll be able to insert one of the bits. I'm just going to sacrifice the regular screwdriver bit because it's probably the one that's going to be the least useful. Now, ideally, I do this on a drill press. That way I can get a nice, perfectly vertical hole drilled into it, but give it a good pull. There we go. But my drill press doesn't really work that well, so I'll just do it by hand as best I can. Okay, so far so good. I'm gonna use a larger drill bit. Should be pretty close to the right size. My preview monitor actually kind of helped me keep my drill relatively level, so that's kind of useful. So it's still a little bit undersized. It doesn't quite fit yet, but what I want to try and do is actually heat this up and then slide it on in and see if that'll be enough to hold it. If not, I'll just glue it in place, but I'll give that a try first. And then I'm also going to try and rough this up with some sandpaper just to give it something else to grab onto. Now this mask is probably overkill. It probably isn't even necessary, but I got it for Christmas, and I gotta say, I freaking love this thing. It has amazing visibility, so it protects my eyes, my nose, my mouth, and I can't smell anything when I'm wearing it. So one of these full face masks, I highly recommend it. What? Well, that worked perfectly. It just slid right down in there. Now, whether or not that's going to be enough to actually hold it, we'll find out, but that worked really, really well. All right, it's still pretty warm, but it's definitely cooled down and it feels pretty solid. That really feels like it's gripped on there. I could probably pull it off if I needed to, but of course the way I'm going to be using it is I'm always going to be applying force into it, so that should be pretty good. That worked perfectly, just melting it and sliding it right on in there. And now check it out. It automatically spins. But now of course the big question is if it's actually going to work the way it's intended, because when I'm just doing it by hand, I can just turn it without applying any real downward force. Now in this case, I'm pushing down while it's trying to turn, so that might not work. If that is the case, possibly taking the edge down on all these fins so it's kind of just riding on a point. That way it's kind of more like a top, but we won't even know if we even need to do that until we try it. So let's cook up some ground beef. All right, well, I got my pan and doing a quick test. That looks really promising. So let's toss in some ground beef and see how well it works. Well, it definitely works. It's kind of interesting. I think I'm gonna kind of need to get used to it. So just, because here I get the option of either mashing or turning a little bit when I want to. Here it's just, well, I mean, I guess I can always lock it in place. There's a little switch, so down is forward, up is backwards. If you put it in the middle, it locks it in place, so it works just as normal. So I suppose that works, but I mean, that's definitely what I wanted. Now, is it really what I wanted? I think so. I mean, it's doing a really good job. It's just, it's unusual because I've, you know, it's something new. I'm not used to it functioning this way. And also I'm sitting down and I'm not really at, you know, normally I'd probably be more like here, which, yeah, this feels better. Actually, this is pretty great. It's loud, but my wrist feels great, so. It's actually doing a really great job. I'm getting really nice, tiny, I like really tiny granules, especially for tacos, kind of more like, you know, what you get at Taco Bell. So that's the whole reason I even started mashing meat in the first place, was to basically get rid of like the worminess that you get when you buy a package of ground beef and get like these nice tiny granules. So I love this thing. All right, well, I'd say that's a huge success. That was super easy and it works perfectly. That's so cool. That's exactly what I hoped it would do, and we didn't have any problems. That's a first. This is awesome. And it's still removable, so I can use this as a screwdriver if I want. And then it makes it a lot easier for washing because I can just remove the attachment. I don't have to worry about washing the entire handle, which is really great. So this is all around an awesome thing. I'm so happy about it. But my sincere thank you for watching. Once again, I am Nick D. Clements, if you're wondering. Nick is short for Nicholas, and the D stands for ground beef. I don't know, I'm totally out of D names. The spreadsheet I had at the beginning of all this, I used up ages ago, and it's getting harder and harder to find D words that fit in with what I'm doing. So if you have a D name that you think is my middle name that you'd like to suggest, please leave it in the comments. And if I use it, I'll pop up your username when I do. So anyway, I'm off to make something else.